Welcome to Independent Lifestyles, a program of the Sheboygan County Aging and Disability Resource Center. We present topics that promote independence and direct viewers to resources that will help maintain their health and independence in our community. I am Christine Jeske, an outreach worker at the Aging and Disability Resource Center, and I will be your host for today. Today, our guests are Allison Brunette and Victoria Dieterdink from Art Objects, Sheboygan County Health and Human Services Art Objects. Hello, ladies.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
It's good to see you guys. Yeah. And before we get started, I would like you to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself. So let's start with Victoria Dieterdink.
Okay, well, thanks, Chris. Thanks for having us. We're excited to be on your show. So a little bit about me. I currently work at Health and Human Services as the assistant to the director. I've been in this role for about 3 years. And before, I guess you want a little bit like holistically about my life.
Yeah, I do. I think it's important because I know you've done a lot of interesting things.
Well, thank you. So I grew up in Madison. I went to high school in Sheboygan, so I'm familiar with the city. And then I lived in a few different places before making my way back to Sheboygan. So I lived in New York for a couple of years. I lived in Paris for a couple of years teaching English in France. And so I've had kind of an interesting route back to kind of a hometown. And I guess that's about all I can
And
share
how
about
long
that.
have you worked for the county?
I've worked here for about 4 years. I worked at UW Extension for about a year, and I've been in my current role at Health and Human Services for 3 years.
Can you tell me a little bit about your current role?
Sure. So as the assistant to the director, I work to promote access to the director. I do a lot of meetings, logistics, agendas, minutes, kind of organizational things, internal staff memos, policies, and then I'm also chair of the art committee, which...
So that's awesome.
Yes,
right?
Thank you. Yeah, and we're here to talk about that today.
Yeah.
So.
Allison, hi.
Hi, Chris.
This is our second time I've had you on my show.
Yes, it is.
And can you tell me a little bit about your background and then how you became involved with the county?
Sure. I'm originally from Sheboygan. I grew up here. I spent the majority of my life here. I did move away from some time and spent a lot of time teaching, which I really enjoyed. But I moved back to Sheboygan County about 4 years ago, and I've been employed by Sheboygan County for about 3.5 years in my current capacity as a site manager and outreach worker at the Aging and Disability Resource Center.
And you also have 2 meal sites, I understand.
I
Can you
do.
tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. We have so many throughout the county, but I manage the ones in Howards Grove and Sheboygan Falls. And we have seniors, anybody 60 or better, that come in every day and join us for educational activities or games, other types of enrichment. I've put on a joke show, not so successfully, but just whatever I think might be of interest to our seniors. And we serve lunch every day. Some people come every day, some a few times a week, and some people come just depending on what's on the menu
Right.
or on the agenda for activities. But when I saw that this committee was forming, it was announced in an email, and I just told my boss, that's me, and he said, you're right, I already had you in mind for this as a good fit. So I was very eager to join. It's been a very positive experience, and it's even allowed me some volunteer opportunities that I hadn't anticipated, but I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah. So where did this idea come from?
I'm not sure. Victoria, you might.
Yeah, so this idea of the art committee started in 2017, and the idea came from a meeting that a staff member who has since retired, he had a meeting with the director, like an annual check-in meeting, and he was sharing ideas about how he thought the department could be improved, or new ideas for the department. And he suggested having art on the walls, like art from high school, the high schools in the area, something like that. And I said, that's a fantastic idea. Someone should do something about that. Someone should make that happen. And everyone kind of looked at me and thought, yeah, someone really should make that happen. So I came back to the director with some questions. And then he thought, well, with all of these questions, why don't you form a committee to kind of make some decisions about what the department should look like, how we put up art on the walls. And it just went from there.
Interesting. And when did the art options start? And I always leave out Sheboygan County Health and Human Services art options. So is it okay if I just call it art options, ladies?
I don't see why not.
You're right.
Okay. So when did the art options start?
In 2017, we met that fall, I believe. So I sent out an email, and we actually had people respond from all different work areas, which was really important. So it's a very diverse committee from all the different work areas. We started in 2017, and then we rotate every 6 months. So all of the art displays rotate. So we started, our first one was January of 2018.
But prior to that, we had put together a little proposal, advocating for, our position, and talking about how art enhances the quality of life for everybody that's exposed to it. Victoria presented it to
the manager group,
and they were all on board, and we got a small budget, which all we really had to purchase were some displays that are adjustable to suit our needs.
Nice.
So we're pretty proud of it. I mean, we started from scratch.
Well, you should be.
Well, thanks, Chris. And we found other community agencies, like even coffee houses who display art. Everyone was really happy to help and offer ideas. And so we actually got the same installation. It's like a gallery quality installation system.
Hardware,
hardware, yeah.
So when you say you have a committee from all different areas, could you let us know where these areas are? Who comes forth and comes to the committee, and how many people are on the committee?
I think there's about 9 people on the committee.
Yes.
We have representatives from all different work areas: economic support, child support, behavioral health,
public health, child and family services.
Good.
We have a trauma-informed care coordinator for our department. She's also on the committee. Allison represents the EDRC.
It's nice because then you get to work with other people that maybe you wouldn't have met.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're all on the same page, it really rocks.
And I think we are.
We are, yeah. We're a good team.
That's
and
good.
Everyone gets to advocate for their work area, too,
True.
which I think is an important component.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are the goals of the committee?
Well, it's a big question, so I'll let you start.
Well, I mean, I guess I can only speak for myself. I think the initial goal was, of course, to beautify these shared spaces, both for us and the public who comes through these spaces, and inspire people, maybe cheer people,
Make them feel welcome.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think Victoria could probably speak more.
Right, well, to echo what Allison's saying, I think some of the words we were thinking of when we started this project were just making the space more personal, vibrant, welcoming, building a sense of connection on the walls of our building. I think with government buildings, it's easy for it to feel institutional. We're also a trauma-informed agency, which means that we recognize that people walking through our building to receive services have histories of trauma often, meaning incidents or circumstances that adversely affected their life or harmed them culturally, physically, emotionally. So part of being a trauma-informed care agency is treating people in a holistic manner, and also creating, some of the tenets of trauma-informed care are, building a sense of collaboration and mutuality, building a sense of safety and trust and transparency, safety culturally, emotionally, physically. And so those are really big themes, and we're hoping that our art displays kind of are a tool to create that.
And I think you have, because when we have meetings, I'll speak of where we meet, we have all the pictures that the employees take, and then you have really wonderful sayings, and it's very upbeat, and it really helps the environment that we're in. It makes you feel good. And that one person that's trauma and care may read something that kind of clicks, and it makes them feel great.
Well, we're happy to hear that. And I think even we have a display in the main building by the billing office. So a lot of people come in to pay bills or, go through insurance stuff. And anyway, a lot of families stop by that area, and we see a lot of kids even, which is so heartwarming, engaging with the art. Right, there it is. That's our current display in that area. It's across from our billing area, right by our lobby. So this was installed in July of this year. And it's a really great program, just to say a couple words about the program, because I think they do amazing work. Okay, so the Spark program is at the John Michael Kohler Arts Center. They do programming, activities, theater, discussions, and also art with people with dementia and Alzheimer's and their caregivers. So this is an installation that talks about memories and how they're woven together throughout our lives. Really interesting things. They have a little display as part, or a little display about the Spark program there. Each person did an individual weaving, and then they did a group one as well.
So these people that did that may have memory issues, and it could be some of their families too.
Right.
So it involves both the caregiver and the person. And that makes them feel like they've accomplished something.
Absolutely, and it's a mode of expression. I think it's awesome. Honoring the experiences of people who don't always get recognized in the community.
Yeah. What kind of partnerships have you developed since the Art Options?
Oh, some pretty strong ones. The first one that I remember was with RCS.
Yes.
And
they're also amazing. Can we just put a plug in for RCS?
Yes.
You just do whatever you ladies like, and if you have to put a plug in for everybody that's on the committee, that would be awesome.
They have an amazing art therapist on staff there, Laura. They have a really robust art therapy program. And RCS works with individuals with disabilities, I think also severe mental illness. And they have a certified art therapist who recognizes the power of art and expression. They have loads of art. If you ever go to RCS, I'm sure you'll notice art around. Yeah.
They offer a theater once a year, I think, or twice a year. They do a lot.
They do a theater piece. Very cool. So she's been great to work with, and she was our first partnership.
Sure, and we were able to have a reception for the artists downtown with some light snacks and
like a happy hour, but really not.
Yes, and it was beautiful where the artists were in attendance and able to see their things on display.
It's moving.
It is. It really is.
Self-accomplishments for them, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and you feel good about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So some other partnerships. We were just talking about this.
Well, my favorite is the partnership that we currently have with Kaleidoscope. It's powered by a woman named Judy Schmidt, who works through Sheboygan Visual Artists. And she promotes art and does art with people from Safe Harbor, or here's one of the displays that she created. Actually, the children did. She just put it all together. What happens is every other month, we provide childcare and an art experience for the kids in foster care and their families while their parents are receiving some other services. And we just meet with them for about 3 hours or so. And Judy, there's another one that she did, or the kids did finger painting, yes. And then somehow she takes what we've done and turns it into these brilliant displays that are just gorgeous.
So it all goes together.
It does. Judy picks out like the materials in advance, whether it's, there's always some kind of theme, whether it's color or maybe the medium or whatever it is. And in the end, these individual pieces are just amazing together.
Yeah, they look beautiful and colorful. And
yeah. This is actually in your space, also at the ADRC. Sure. We did I think this was a really cool idea that we did. We took art from staff who work at Health and Human Services. So we did a staff art show.
I remember.
Yes, and I was inspired by this by going to an art museum, and then the staff at the art museum. So I went to an art museum when I was traveling in Arizona, and I saw that there was one room of just staff art. And it was so inspirational because it was like security guards and people who work at the front desk and cleaners. Everyone donated art. And I thought we could do the same thing at Health and Human Services. So people did submit. We arranged for people to submit their art, paintings, different mediums. Here's another picture at Economic Support. And these are all created by staff and or their family members.
Now, are there names on there?
There are.
So that kind of is nice as well, because then when they go meet, let's just say, Allison, you did this big, beautiful painting and you needed to meet with somebody and they were waiting in our lobby and it happened to be there. It could be a connection for you
Definitely.
with them.
I think, and we did want to kind of acknowledge staff talents and build that sense of connection. You're right.
Yeah, it's good. And what was the feedback? How has that been?
It's been really positive.
I think so too. A lot of people who enter our building who don't work here think, oh, what a cool idea. I mean, it is a cool idea. I think a lot of organizations could use art to build a sense of connection and warmth. Uplifting.
Sure.
Right.
And not so boring and intense and, you know.
And honestly, I think, I'm not sure if this was totally one of our goals, but I think it represents a lot of diversity.
I think so too.
Right. And that's something, you know, just diversity representation is so important. And that's a great example up on the board. One of our public health nurses, Maiva, she put together a display, she's Hmong, and she put together a display of Hmong cultural items in our new curio cabinet. So that's next to the weavings from the Spark program.
That helps people understand the culture, get a little bit of the insight.
Right.
Because when you see sometimes when the cultures are in the parade and stuff, people are thinking, well, you know, what is that? I mean, this way they're kind of familiar. They may be some familiarity when they see something like that, correct?
Right, and I'm grateful that she shared with us. I think, again, that personal connection, sharing your whole life story, I think is powerful.
Yeah, I do too. I think it makes everybody more human.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Do you see the program expanding at all, either one of you, or?
I would like to see every idle space, whether it's a stair landing or, I don't think we could do it in elevators, but.
Conference rooms. I think we do have plans to expand. One of the challenges is the more you expand, the more art you need to fill the space, and the more logistics get a little complicated. But we do have plans to expand in our lobby at the main building, probably another installation at the ADRC and every, satellite site that we have.
And we do have plans to form even more partnerships than we have already. We're reaching out to the detention center to maybe do a display of inmate art.
Cool.
There are other plans in the works.
Right, the 4-H program that we just had the county fair.
Yeah.
Lots of art.
We're going to have a lot of their pieces coming in
Isn't that
January.
wonderful?
Right.
It is.
Tower Academy, or I guess they're changing to Change. They're changing their name to Change.
Oh, okay.
They are.
I think so.
Power Academy to
Yes.
Change.
Yes, and it used to be Strive, so they've
Okay,
had a couple iterations.
Sounds very friendly.
We've partnered with them in the past,
Yes.
and they've provided some amazing, colorful pieces.
Great art.
Done by their students. Some, I know at least one student was proud enough to bring a family
his
member to come
dad,
in
yeah,
and see
that was cool.
see it on display. So it's nice to recognize people from the community.
Well, and then, the more people we get into our building, the more they understand really what we're all about. And you don't have to be poor. You don't have to have millions of problems to come into our buildings. Right. We're here to help. It becomes more so communable. Would that be right?
Welcoming.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Right. So I know this is a big question, and I want you each to answer it because it'll be different for both of you.
A big question.
It is. What would be your dream display, Allison?
Well, in general, I gravitate towards color. So it'd have to have a lot of color. We've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
I'd love to see some moving water and
A hologram, some strobe lights, and some glitter.
I would honestly like to see.
It'd be a little much.
I'd like to see more like mobiles and things, because there are certain areas where we have to keep things out of reach. Where there's a lot of children
Very
or
cool.
whatever. I like the idea of the movement in those types of pieces.
I think, it kind of feels like the sky is the limit in a way. I mean, you have to leave space for people to walk.
Yeah,
of course. The director and I were joking about statues. I don't know if he was even joking, because he's like, I went to the John Michael Colora Center. They have an amazing display of statues.
We would need some plinths.
Yeah. We have a budget, but I mean, just, I echo Allison's comment, like a practical dream display would be something with a lot of color, a lot of personal touches, the ability to share stories through art.
I think the mobility thing that Allison, you spoke about, I think of when I worked in the WIC program and the clients would be waiting with their little babies. That gives them something to watch the children. You know, it really is a collaboration of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
We're so blessed. There's so much talent in this community, and I feel like we've just barely scratched the surface.
Right.
We're not paying for this art. We're just able to be stewards of it for a little while.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
And I think also one of our goals was to provide more diversity. I know that it hasn't been finalized yet, but we're talking about that project like Humans of New York. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It's on social media. It's a photographer who takes pictures
Oh, he
of
walks
humans
around
in
the
New York.
city and
Yes.
takes pictures? I
Right.
know exactly who you're talking
Great.
about.
And then he has like a story or a
Yep.
quote from them. And it's really personal.
It is. It's really neat.
Yes. And so we were talking about just, I mean, it's in the very beginning stages, but doing something like,
Exactly like that, actually.
Yeah,
You know, I got to meet him.
Oh, how nice.
I shook his hand. I got a picture of him.
So
with
we
him.
want to do a Humans of Sheboygan for our lobby, or for our main lobby. We have a couple people on board with it already who definitely have the time and the talent to make it happen.
Awesome.
And the enthusiasm is just off the charts. We've been emailing back and forth just saying how excited we are for this, the potential for this project.
Yeah. So I wonder about the legalities for that. I mean, I didn't get to talk to the gentleman about that, but there must be some paper they maybe have to sign or not.
Well, you know, we're in the beginning stages.
Yeah,
so
we
it's something
are.
to
I mean,
think
we
about.
will definitely address
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
Just based on my experience from having taught copywriting in the past, it seems to me that you don't necessarily need a release when you're just not using it for financial gain. But of course, we would seek people's permission,
Right.
I'm sure.
Right.
But what we're really excited about is just seeing people seeing themselves represented in these pieces.
Well, I think it makes people feel good when they talk about themselves, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I think it's good because everybody needs to feel somewhat important in the community, whether you're an at-home mom, whether you're a daycare worker, whether you're a maintenance guy. I mean, it's all important. That's what makes us all the same and makes a circle round, right?
I think being seen,
Right.
you know, is really valuable.
Right.
Representation, seeing
Right.
people like yourself represented in a space. It's huge.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, we have struggles as well too, but no one sees that because of our positions.
Right.
Correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I need to ask you both two questions, and any favorite pieces? And do you have any pieces you'd like to share with us today? Those are two questions that I asked right in a row.
Okay. Well, we didn't actually bring any physical pieces along. My favorite piece so far
The kaleidoscope.
is, well, actually, it was a drawing that one of the people at RCS did. And apparently this person was a huge Star Trek fan
Yeah.
and drew a lot of stills from, I don't know if it was from the movie or from the feature, but they were just so detailed and so
Magic.
much passion went into those. They were
remember the
definitely
piece you're
among my
thinking of, yeah.
favorite pieces. But of course, the kaleidoscope art is near and dear to me because I'm there at the creation of it. I see the kids, talk to the kids while they're making it happen. And one of my favorite things is I saw recently a quote where this woman was explaining to her daughter that she was an art teacher. And her daughter said, "What? People forget how to draw? You know, they forget how to do art."
That's cute.
And these kids, they have no question that they're talented. They know they're talented.
Isn't that neat? And
It's
then
beautiful.
it brings people out of their shell too.
So I don't know if I can pick a favorite piece, honestly. I mean, like Allison's saying, all of them are interesting and valuable and beautiful in their own way. I think some of the things that moved me actually were Tower Academy's pieces. They were really bold colors. I don't know what kind of material they use, some kind of, what is it, crepe Craypa. I should have.
I don't know.
Look
It seemed
into
almost
the-
like an oil crayon.
Right, but just really bold colors and really striking, and also youthful. I mean, I know they're high schoolers, but just that there was a vibrancy to them that was pretty powerful.
So the people that, like when you talk about Tower Academy or RCS, or do they get to tour and see their?
They do. I mean, people are always welcome to come into our buildings. RCS did have that reception, and a lot of the artists came, which is really cool and gratifying.
Because that builds confidence, and
It does. It does.
I mean, there's so much to say about that. It's kind of like, that's my artwork. Look
Right.
at that.
Right.
Right?
Right. And that feeling of being seen and included and representing the diversity around us. I mean, these are really powerful themes.
Yeah.
I think having somebody walk around in our community and taking pictures of people and bringing that forward and doing a little article or whatever on them, it would be fabulous. I hope we get that.
I'm just thrilled at just even our small efforts, what a big impact they've already had, I think, especially on our coworkers who walk through these spaces every day.
I myself, I remember being when they had all this starting and I'm thinking, what? I don't want to do something like that, But really when I look at it now and I hear all about it, I mean, it's awesome. And you have to be very creative. And you have to love what you're doing.
It's easy.
Right, because you love what you're doing.
Well, and it's cool that, even at work, social workers, therapists, someone like myself who's administrative, can come together and work on something creative like this. It's a
Right,
cool
and it's
opportunity.
fun.
It's fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of
I mean,
takes
it's
a
work,
break.
but it's fun.
Yeah.
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 It's really a neat thing. I'm so glad you girls came.
Well, thank you.
And it's so
Thanks,
nice,
Chris.
Allison, that you came again for the second time. And Victoria, I don't know if you were ever on television before.
Never. This is the first
I
time.
know. So we all did great.
Well, thanks, Chris.
Right? Right. So,
Well, thanks for having us here.
Thank you.
And I just want the community to know they're welcome to come and look at these pieces. Almost everything is public access or can be arranged to be
Right.
viewed.
right. Well, it's a friendly environment when you walk in anyways. We have our 2 secretaries down at the other desk, and then we have our one out by us. So, yeah, it's very nice. I would like to thank our guests, Allison Brunette and Victoria Dieterding, for sharing with us how important it is to help one another. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in to our show. Please join us next month on Independent Lifestyles for another interesting topic on maintaining your health and independence. Be well. Now we got to stand here and talk.